Hi there, gang. Welcome to episode 21 of OSF TV. I'm Sean with OurStressFreeWedding.com and, of course, joined by my trusty co-hosts, Andrew and Nicole, at the table formerly known as the kids' table. We keep going back and forth, and you'll notice this time I redid the look, a new view.
Yeah.
So I took out the opportunity for me to actually write kids' table in there. I'm taking steps to help you guys be stronger.
I'm a big kid now.
I'm trying to build because we learned your mom actually commented on an episode as opposed to just emailing me, which is great. Andrew's mom, and Bobbi brought this up. Bobbi is with us from Light Inspired Serenity. We're going to talk to her in a second, but brought up a good point that Andrew's mom gets brought up in every show.
Just about.
We should have her on the show.
Maybe.
We could zoom in.
We could.
We could have your mom zoom in.
We could.
I've also noticed that my mom never comments. Mom, go to the YouTubes. Have Sarah look. My sister. And this reminds me, this wasn't on the script either, a comment that we got as well. Just for the record, for those of you watching, we know that it's not TikToks or the YouTubes or the Googles. It was a joke that we have always made because
we're old.
Right. Thank you. I was actually going to go with my advanced age, but if you guys want to jump into I'm good with that. I'm spry. So last episode, I was just watching episode 20, which was a big one, was Ultimate Entertainment. We had Beardface here, Mr. Mike Grimm, and that was a weird show. Wasn't that weird? It's weird. I mean, we're doing a web show. We're talking about wedding stuff. We talk about wedding professionals. We're in the wedding business. It felt weird. And this sounds strange, even as kind of the host, talking about me.
You're asking questions to someone who works for your company. It's like I'm going to ask you questions. I know the answers to them, but it's like, I want to hear you say it.
That was the other weird part, is that as I'm running through my mind, I'm like, I know in the back of their minds, and we're all good friends. I mean, I've known these guys forever. They're amazing at what they do, like Andrew and Beardface. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I do write their checks. So are they just going to ask like softball? Are they just going to agree with me because they have to? Or it was just a weird. I don't know. It felt goofy. It was a good show.
It was.
I recommend if you're just jumping in right now, shame on you. There are 20 really good. There are 20 mostly. There's like 3 really great episodes. But we're evolved. We're getting better. I mean, if you look now, like compared to like first shows, I think we've grown. I mean, we've got the neat little background stuff going. And
no, we don't. Not this scene.
Does that scene not have it?
No.
Did you break it?
No. I don't think any of these scenes have
Oh,
them.
man, it's not running. Wait, you turn it on.
Because you took my poster down.
Is that what it is? All right. Engaging motion background. Right?
No.
Play.
It was just working.
It was just working. This has been a Ghost in the Machine kind of episode. I don't know.
I think ever since you upgraded your computer, it's just been
I know that's supposed to be better. I don't know what's going on.
Upgrades are the worst.
I'm completely confused. And which leads me to a new keyword, confidence.
Yeah.
Because I do not have confidence in my computer right now. But Nicole and I were talking the other day, and one of the things that she brought up, a great point, is couples looking for that confidence. Build on, explain that better. You did a much better job than I did.
I did much better job with margaritas.
But no, it's lunch with a friend, and then you had come bursting in here, and you were all excited about confidence. So now the background thing's working.
Now it is. That's weird.
That is really strange.
Interesting.
But let's talk about that. Let's talk about confidence. What confidence in a couple in their vendors, and by having that, it makes their day that much better.
Well, I've gotten numerous emails just in the last year from people who are in a panic because their photographer backed out on them last minute. I just had one that backed out on them 2 weeks before their wedding.
Oh.
And it just, being able to provide couples with that confidence in knowing that their vendor is going to show up. And if the vendor doesn't show up, having some sort of insurance policy. I know we were just kind of brainstorming different ideas for, providing a little extra security or, the ability to provide that confidence in couples when they're planning one of the biggest days of their lives.
Absolutely. And that's definitely something that I want to evolve farther into. I mean, this platform is something that is constantly growing, is constantly evolving. And one of the things that we will grow into eventually is I would love to offer a guarantee. That the vendors that come on, one thing, I mean, I can promise you this right now to help with confidence is that every wedding professional you find on the platform, and this is kind of neat. I was looking at a couple different wedding groups Facebook that Our Stress Free is part of and that we're active on. And there's been more and more brides that have been posting about us on behalf of us as, hey, there's vendors here that you can trust, that you can really work on. So that's building confidence with them. And that's kind of, the starting point for us. And the way this is evolving is like, this is future steps, probably more 2024, 2025 even. But I want to get to the point on the platform where couples would be able to pay their vendors through us. And what would happen is that this is kind of just off the top of my head, but we would hold the money in almost like a trust account, like you do for a mortgage, And so you put that in a trust account, it holds there, and then after the wedding is done, everybody gets paid out. And if we do run into a situation where, the DJ or the photographer, someone doesn't show up, that ghosts the couple like that, they get their money back. Because I've noticed that trend too, is again, on a lot of those chats right now, there is like just a slew of people not showing up.
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind. In 34 years with Ultimate Entertainment, we have never missed a wedding. Ever. We made national news, not national. We made Iowa news one time in Iowa City. We had one of our vehicles broke down on the way to a wedding. Okay, and they had left plenty early, so it was before anything was started. But it was when 80 was under construction in front of like the Crowville Mall, and so it was down to one lane, and our van died in the lane.
Oh no!
So traffic backed up all the way to 380, and then all the way heading back and north and south on 380, heading to like Cedar Rapids. There was a helicopter overhead, putting it on the news, and my DJ calls me. He's like, "So turn on the news." I'm like, what? Oh, no. And you could see, here's our van, and thank God there was a guy with a big pickup truck behind him with the bumpers on it, pushed him forward. Oh, so good. I called a towing company with flatbed, and I'm like, here's the deal. I need to get my vehicle and my DJ to this wedding reception. I will pay you double if you pick up the vehicle, take them to the venue, let them unload, and then we'll deal with the broken vehicle. Not only did the tow truck driver pick them up immediately, and I forget what company, this is like 15 years ago. I forget the company because they were awesome. They picked him up, drove him to the venue, helped him unload.
Nice.
And then took care of the vehicle, and in the meantime, we had brought another vehicle down, to get him back. But yeah, we made news. It was a pretty big deal. But we were not late. We did not miss the wedding. And that's confidence. The couples that book with us are confident that we're going to do our job. And couples that book with anything you find at ourstressfreewedding.com, you're going to have that same level of confidence. And the biggest reason is because of the research that we're doing with the wedding professionals. We want to make sure that the people that we allow on the platform are truly focused on making your day amazing. And what a difference that makes. And I think we're gonna focus in on future shows and even on the platform more about confidence. Like one of the things Andrew and I have been doing with that is like on the platform right now, we've got like just the kind of the little YouTube shorts that we've been putting on there, just kind of welcoming people to a certain page and explaining what to expect on there. It's like a minute and a half. I think there was one that I did that's like a minute 45 seconds. Took me 5 hours to record. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, because
it was painful.
You fumble over one word.
I'm reading off a script. We've got this neat little teleprompter. I'm reading off. I can't read. Here, I can talk. But think I'd read off a script? Oh no, that's way too complicated. I'm just not that smart. So.
We had, what was it? There was an extra word. It was like, find a euro vendors or something. I'm like, oh, we sound Italian now.
It was totally out of Anchorman.
Yeah.
Like just read what's on the teleprompter. Put a question mark after it. Welcome to our stress-free wedding. Ah. We'll put the question mark on the teleprompter again. Hey, Bobbi's here. She has been patiently waiting to sit and talk with us. This is Bobbi from Light Inspired Serenity. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm so glad you're here. This is so you had mentioned when you got here that you're a little bit nervous, right? Nothing to be nervous about. Here's the thing. I'm a little bit nervous too because this is the first show that I have done without my normal giant boost of caffeine from my trusty Bang energy drink. I have been Bang free for 2 weeks. Which does not sound all that impressive when I say it out loud. But hey, we're excited to have you. How you doing?
I'm good.
No, because you told me right before the show, and this threw me off. But I'm so excited. You just got married.
I did, August 13th.
So you just went through all of this.
Yes.
I love it. So you are a wedding professional. You are a professional photographer. How long have you been a photographer?
So I have been doing photography for about 3 years, but I just started doing wedding photography this year.
And your reviews are amazing, which I love. But that shows that you're doing the right thing. You found what you're meant to do. When you lock in like that, that is fantastic. So we're gonna talk about your wedding in a second because it's always cool talking to somebody in the industry who goes through all of that craziness of getting married, because you have a little bit different perspective on your average person that's going through. But tell me, how did you evolve into weddings from the photography side?
So it's kind of a long story.
We have time.
Yeah. So originally I didn't think I'd want to get into wedding photography. So it started out with I was doing like flowers and landscapes and wildlife and that kind of thing. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I want to try family photography. Well, one of the families that I did had a sister who wasn't engaged at the time, but she is now, and she's getting married. She had seen some of the photos I did, and she's like, you know what? I want you as my wedding photographer. And she wasn't even engaged yet. So I was like, I am doing something right here. I was excited.
Ooh, you're good.
Yeah, I was so excited. So I was like, you know what? I always want to try it before I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do it. So I took that leap of faith, and here I am, like, couple weddings in.
Awesome.
I'm loving it.
Are you? So what's your favorite part of doing that? What are you learning as you're going through the process?
There's actually quite a bit to learn. I think the big thing that I'm learning is kind of helping my clients create their vision through whatever photos they would like. So how I'm doing that so far is I tell them to, go to Pinterest and all this other stuff and kind of send me some images that you kind of like. And then we just branch off from there and create a whole, photo album and all this other stuff of all these images that is what they wanted.
Right. So you're working with their view and how they want their day to be,
yes.
Which is so important because there's so many vendors out there, from DJs, photographers, kind of the big three, DJs, photographers, and wedding coordinators, who have a tendency to kind of steamroll their clients. They come in with their preset notion. I mean, there's been a couple couples, even just this week, that I've spoken to for Ultimate Entertainment, and of course they're shopping for DJs, which is perfectly normal. And a number of them told me, well, we just talked to this particular DJ, and he was explaining how they do the grand entrance. This DJ does it, and he wasn't open to any other way or any other means or any other idea that the bride had for her grand announcement. And this is rule number one in our world is what the couple wants, the couple gets. And so if someone tells me this is how we want things done, if it's feasible, if it doesn't involve like hot air balloons and explosions, okay. And even now with explosions, we can actually kind of come close to doing that because we've got that cool cold spark system, which like a controlled explosion.
We have that, and we have the explosion sound from the karaoke program we use. one wedding, my bride was like, "Do the explosions," because I would do them all the time at a karaoke show. And
You do them all the time at a karaoke show.
One of her dances, "Do the explosion."
See, so we can so we can add explosions. So tell me about your journey with planning your wedding. How did that go?
So it was definitely stressful. In the end, we ended up having a vendor that we had to replace like a month and a half before the wedding.
Why? What happened with that?
So when we originally booked this vendor, everything was going okay, and then some things kind of transpired during one of our meetings that left us a little concerned. And then like a month and a half before that, we were told to go to the vendor and send all this information for this vendor and all this other stuff. And it was to the point we weren't sure they were going to show up.
Really?
Yes.
What? So this is important, because when couples are going through the planning process, and this is something, this is one of the main reasons why I even started Our Stress Free as a whole, is because there are so many vendors out there that are like that. And one of the things that has always frustrated me is that, especially when you're planning the biggest day of your life with really no basis. You don't know where to look, and so you had initially trusted this vendor. What were some of the flags that were raised that made you kind of think, this may not be the right choice? What? You don't have to mention them by name. I don't want to call somebody out, so don't feel like we're gonna get you. No,
Yeah.
but what were some of the flags that were raised for you that gave you those kind of concerns?
So me being new to the wedding industry, I had mentioned that to them, and they're like, "Oh, don't get into the wedding industry." I'm like, "Okay."
So somebody in the business
Yeah.
is like, "No, don't do it. This is terrible."
Yeah. They're
Really?
Like, yeah. They're like, it's such a burnout and it's not fun. And I'm like, then why are you doing it? And this is after we already paid this vendor.
Okay, so I gotta know. You don't have to mention them by name. What type of vendor is this? The caterer? Is this photographer? Is this DJ? Who was this?
This was a photographer.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
And so when we went to do our engagement shoot, there was no conversation about it. They just expected us to give them a ride to our wherever we're going. And I was like, okay, well, let's just do this, get it done. And then they had asked me to send either my wedding coordinator or me to the venue to send them pictures.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because they wanted to know like where the shade was and all this other stuff.
So the photographer, they didn't go scope it out themselves. They wanted you to go do the work for them, or have the venue do it for them.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
And you ended up replacing them. Like, were you able to replace them?
Oh yeah.
Like relatively in enough time to kind of get everything else done, or?
Yeah, we so the wedding was in August, and we found the replacement in end of June, I think.
Oh, you got
Yeah.
lucky. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I was super excited.
wow. Okay. So kind of compare and contrast. So you kind of ran into, and this happens, and it's one of the big challenges that couples have, is because anybody can put a nice Facebook page on. Like, I don't know how you found this the first photographer, but anybody can do a nice Facebook page. Anybody can do, at a wedding show and say nice things. It's easy to put on that kind of forward face. Anybody can build a really nice website. Or if you go to Wedding Wire or the Knot, one of the things, one of the other main reasons why we started Our Stress Free, anybody, if you're in the wedding industry, if you pay enough money, you can be listed at the top of Wedding Wire or the Knot. And a couple that comes along that doesn't know that those vendors are paying to be at that top of the list, they may not be deserving of at the top of the list. So what would you tell brides to look for as they're looking for their photographer, for example?
I guess it depends on what you're looking for. If you're going based on like the editing style or the shooting style, definitely look through that. But also kind of do your research on reviews. Mm-hmm. Because it could be like a year prior and someone's got a really bad review. Also shop. Don't pick one photographer and then just go with them. Pick a few of them, meet with them, and see which one you click with better.
Right. And that's especially with a photographer. I think that makes such a giant difference. Is photographers, and Nicole, you can attest to this. You need to vibe with your clients. I think even more than the DJ does. I think the photographer does, because you guys as the photographers, you have this amazing ability when you click with the clients to bring out an actual smile,
Right.
an actual interaction, right? And when you're shopping around for photographers, it's so important to find that. And reviews are huge. That's one of the criteria we have at our Stress Free is looking at the reviews. And actually, one of the things that we look for as we dig deeper, if they have a lot of reviews, is I actually look for negative reviews. All of us, full disclosure, in the wedding business, as much as we try, every once in a while we fall short.
Right.
You're not going to please everybody every single time. So what we look for on the research side for reviews is I look for, how does that wedding professional respond to a negative review? Do they apologize? Do they own it? Do they blame something else? Oh, my camera was out of focus that day. It's not my fault. Do they blame the couple? I've seen that. Well, you suck. I'm like, well, wait a minute here. You can't do that. It's not them. It's their day. You're the expert. So it's interesting to see how people in the wedding industry respond to negative reviews as well. And you always get the, not always, but inevitably, if you've been doing this long enough, you're going to get just the weird negative reviews. People that just, they didn't have the right color shoes.
These trees were a different circumference, 1 star.
The sun wasn't as yellow as this normally is. But that's so important, in looking for that, in building that. So tell me, how did you get started with pictures? With photography? Just what made you think, I should take pictures of stuff?
So I'm going to start off with saying it literally hit me in the face.
I love when stories start.
I want to know where this goes. A good tease.
Yep. So it originally started, all my phones have thousands of pictures. Like the last one I had it for 2 years and it had over 7,000 pictures on it. Because
Sure.
I love taking pictures, mostly of my dogs. But so I was sitting out, and Marengo has a little river, the Iowa River that's right outside of it. And I was sitting there kind of playing with some shoes in the setting sun. And I was like, okay, I love this. So later that night, I am laying in bed, scrolling through photos. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? That's it. Let's do photography. And then I dropped my phone on my face. So yeah, I had a
So
little
reality
bit of a bruise.
literally hit you in the
Yes.
face that here's your sign of what you're supposed to do.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I never actually shared that with anyone, so you guys are like the first to know.
Woohoo! Exclusive content,
So
guys.
us and Andrew's mom now knows that story.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I love it. So, what after you recovered from the vicious attack of your phone, what was your kind of first steps? What did you do to better yourself and to kind of learn to do what you do? Because your pictures are beautiful. You do a very, very nice job.
Thank you.
So you've obviously, you're in the right direction. What have you done to kind of better yourself to learn your craft?
So I ended up taking a couple classes on Udemy because can't afford college at the moment.
Sure.
But so I took some classes on that, and then I found a mentor who is actually a friend of my mother's who kind of helped me. So I started out with taking pictures of flowers and landscapes and nature and stuff, and I would send those photos to him. He would critique it and then send it back with suggestions and all that stuff. And then I'd send him more photos. So it started out with that. And then, so I didn't have a mentor when it came to doing my first family shoot. So it was very nerve-wracking.
Sure.
And thankfully it was my family. So
Right.
yeah.
Best people to practice on.
Yep. They're excellent. But so I ended up taking some photos of that. And then I did another family session with my husband's family. And I was like, you know what? I love this, but it's getting to where I want to be. And then someone had mentioned doing wedding photography. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So I jumped on that. And I found an excellent mentor who I still second shoot for today. And I will always probably second shoot because they are fantastic.
Right.
Yep. So he's helped me a lot.
Well, and
in
it's
the
so
learning.
cool to build on someone else's knowledge. And Nicole, I mean, you've mentioned numerous mentors that you work with. You know, people in
yeah.
the industry. What is that? Dave up in Wisconsin,
Dave Junior, yeah.
and he's been in photography for a little
a
while.
long time.
Right? He's actually, if I remember right, actually older than me, which so it makes me your second oldest friend. I'm
True.
so proud. But it's, yeah, but so like for you, you know, you've been doing this for 10 years, and you still turn to mentors and stuff. So
Yeah.
what do you find by working with other wedding professionals, with other photographers? How do you continue to grow as someone who's already pretty well established in the business?
You're always gonna learn something. I mean, I even learn from second shooters. So when I have somebody working for me, they give me those images, and as I'm scrolling through stuff, and I'm like, oh, that was a really cool shot. I would have never thought to do that. Now I do. Like you're constantly learning, and so anybody that says or thinks that they don't need a mentor, you know, or somebody that thinks I've been in the business long enough, people should be learning from me. No, things are constantly evolving and changing, and, you know, being able to pick up on any new things or building on anything that other people have done, or just, you know, tweaking your own work. I think having a mentor is probably one of the best financial decisions that you can make for yourself, especially
for sure.
in
And
a business
if
aspect.
you reach a point, and this goes for any of us, you know, if you reach a point where you're like, yep, I know it. I am the expert. It's time to get out. You know, and it's the same thing with Ultimate Entertainment, Andrew. I mean, when we are training new DJs, it always kind of I think it's very cool. With someone who's brand new, and one of the things that we hire, we don't like for DJs, we have hired DJs with zero experience, but they have the heart, they have the energy, and that to me is crucial. I can teach you the technical side. You know, I can teach you how to build a playlist, and I can teach you how to read a crowd, and we can teach all of those things. And it always, I think it's so cool when new DJs are like, "Do you mean like the senior guys are actually going to show me what they do, like what their techniques are?" I mean, you're one of our lead trainers, Andrew. I mean, you know, it's the same thing. You know, we've got kind of our own internal mentorship, and I think we do that even with each other on a senior staff level as well.
Right. We're all going in the same direction here. Like, it does nobody any good. I mean, DJ wise, to be like, oh, I'm going to keep my secrets to myself. You figure this out on your own. You know, sucks to be you if you crash and burn. No, that makes us as a whole look bad. And, you know, there's always room to improve your craft.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of like what we were talking about before, though. I mean, you keep those secrets to yourself, you're never going to build on that.
Right.
I mean, you get multiple people together, all with different ideas of how things should be done. You figure out a way to manipulate that and bring them kind of all together, and you have a whole new recipe for something awesome.
Oh yeah, you know, I mean, getting back to you, as you're learning with mentors and you're building as a second shooter, or even people that you can throw images to and just say, hey, what do you think of this? You know, people that are in that position, it continues to help you grow as well, right? I love it. It makes such a huge difference. So we're going to get into kind of the why. Why do you do this kind of stuff? And we're going to get into all of that stuff here in a little bit. I want to cover just a little thing. Coverage area. How big of an area do you go? Like, I know the answer, and photographer answers always annoy me, but because I'm so jealous. But how big of an area do you cover as a photographer?
So right now I'm just covering the surrounding states of Iowa.
Okay.
And once I get more experience and I, you know, am confident about doing like destination weddings and type stuff, that's when I'll branch out into that. But right now I'm just sticking to the surrounding areas of Iowa.
We brought a photographer on yesterday out of the Omaha area, and she's awesome, and she kind of almost specializes in like destination weddings. Her and her husband have been to Hawaii like 5 or 6 times on the couple because she's going there to shoot the wedding. I'm like, oh, tough. I have a camera. No. So yes, that's it. But you know, one of the things I think is cool is that you are learning, you are evolving, and you realize, you know, you don't want to go too far. You don't want to overstep, And so you want to grow into that. And that, again, speaks to your focus and your excellence at what you are doing. Again, that you're on the right path. You got hit in the face with a phone. That is reminding. And this time you didn't have to get hit in the face.
Nope.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we are at about the halfway point of the show. And you know what that means. If you are a regular fan of this show, Bobbi, if you know, here's your big test. What happens at the halfway point of this show? I'm putting you on the spot.
Andrew's catchphrase.
The Andrew moment. See? We're going to sell shirts.
Absolutely.
It's the Andrew moment. Ladies and gentlemen, 3, 2, 1, Andrew.
Hey, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Be sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and click the bell for notifications. Comment your comments in the comment section below. We want to hear from you if you have future ideas for shows. It's all about you. Let us know what you want to hear. Back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Andrew. Comment your comments in the comment section. I like that.
More comments.
We need all the comments.
So many
Comment
comments.
your comments in the. We're gonna put that between you guys. We're gonna put that as a
Can
sign.
that be on the T-shirt?
Yes.
Comment your comments.
The Andrew moment where you comment your comments in the comment section or on our Facebook page, like your lovely mommy did.
Yes.
And because
She is lovely.
one of our previous episodes with your we cheated because we had Sarah Cruz from Sarah Cruz Art on with us, and we got to announce to the world your engagement story. And Andrew's mommy commented that there were parts of the episode that brought her to tears, and I took that as I had a lot of really deep insight, and I know I think I had some very emotional moments that brought that out in people, and I just want to say thank you. It was a super cute story. So speaking of which, how'd your now hubby, how do you propose?
So he actually did it twice.
Twice?
Yep.
Did he have to hit you in the head with the phone?
No, but he did wake me up, so I'm surprised he's still here.
I've been married almost 20 years. I know not to do that. What do you really?
Yeah. So he works a haunted barn in Marengo. He's one of the people who has like their own room and scares people, and it's a whole bunch of fun. So
Really? Marengo is a fascinating little
It is
town.
a fascinating little town.
We're gonna get back to his story, but we were thinking about this before the show, and we've got Gracie Lou Photography.
Yes.
As part of the platform. We've got the amazing people at Crowberry Farms, Neil and Dita, which we love, Hops and Hot Rods, and now we have Bobbi, all from the Marengo area. We need to have a show there and just focus on Marengo, Iowa. Who would have thought, right? And so there's a haunted house in Marengo. A haunted barn. Thank you. So continue. Please tell me he did not wake you up with like a machete or something.
no, but he was covered in fake blood.
Great.
Yep.
Back up. Back up. Start this from the beginning.
Okay, so his outfit is like a tank top and really long hair that's like drenched in blood, and he just jumps out from behind this like hay bale to scare people. And yeah, the first time he came home with looking like that, he scared the crap out of the dog. Yep. That was interesting.
So, okay. How does this tie into, hey, will you marry me? Explain to me how this works.
Okay, so I'm sleeping, and he comes home and he like wakes me up and he says all sorts of sweet things, and honestly I can't remember them because I was just waking up.
Fair enough.
But at the end he's just like, hey, I love you, will you marry me? And I'm like, of course.
Aw. Well, he's dressed in blood.
Yes.
Cover-
Yep.
I can't judge. I was dressed as Elvis.
What?
Have you not ever seen the pictures? No. Oh God,
I think you've hid them from me.
No, I've hid them from a lot of people.
I think we talked about it on the Ultimate Entertainment.
Was it
show.
the Ultimate Entertainment show? Yeah, because Nick was here.
Yeah.
It's just to catch you up. In when I proposed, I was in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which is my one foray into theater, which is basically, and I played Pharaoh, which is an Elvis impersonation. So I am in this ridiculous jumpsuit. I have this fabulous wig and hair, and for the record, back then I still had hair, and makeup, and my shirt is open till here. And on opening night, I asked the director if I could bring my then girlfriend up on stage and propose on stage. And, of course, and he called the courier, and KWWL was there, and this big thing. But yeah, I'll show you a picture. It's it's memorable. It's memorable. So at least you remember that. So what was your reaction when you saw him dressed like, did you see, like, after you said, yes, of course, I'll marry you, then you notice, oh, that's right, he's drenched in blood. But
so at that point, I was actually used to him being drenched in blood, which sounds really terrible.
Hey, honey, how was your Wednesday? Good.
Yep.
So now you said he proposed twice.
Yes.
So was that like a practice run?
Probably. So the first time he proposed without a ring, which, didn't bother me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the second time, I kind of knew something was going on because he said he was taking his mom out to lunch, and she works on that specific day every week. And he overcompensated. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm just taking mom out to lunch. I'm like, you did that 2 weeks ago. Like, what's going on? So we ended up taking a vacation that weekend to Milwaukee, the Iron Horse Hotel, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
And he was really nervous on Saturday. And I was like, okay, what's going on? And he's like, oh, nothing. I'm just, I'm here. I'm like, okay, you're sweating. What is happening? So he just flopped this ring box on the table and doesn't even say, will you marry me? Nothing. He just flops it up there and looks at me. I'm like, may I?
I don't know. I think the machete and blood route was a better route. I think he gets more points for that one.
Yep, it was super cute.
Well, congratulations. So
Yes.
you've been married coming up on almost 2 months.
Almost 2 months. Yeah, it's hard to believe.
So outside, inside wedding. Tell me about the wedding day.
So we planned it for all inside because, we've got multiple different people in the crowd, and we wanted to make sure everyone was comfortable because it was 90 degrees. It's Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we actually had it at a vineyard. So there was a lot of drunk people, including me. I'm pretty sure Zach's my husband. I'm pretty sure Zach and I were the drunkest people there.
Hey, it's your wedding. It's all right. You do you. That's okay.
Yep. Right at the end of the final song, someone runs up to give us a hug. I step away thinking they're after Zach, and I face plant. And then Zach is laughing so hard he falls over backwards. So I'm like, you gotta keep this interesting.
Day.
Hey, you got your story, you got your memories. That's awesome, and that is a good reason to have a good photographer.
Yep.
Because if you do have a couple cocktails, it's important to remember those moments. So.
Right.
Thankfully, they were gone beforehand, so there's no pictures of that because I could not get up. So I'm just literally scooting across the floor backwards because I'm on top of my dress.
Oh no!
Yep. It was wonderful.
I'll never forget on when we got married. I don't know how it happened, but my wife and I were the last ones to leave the venue. Everybody else had left, and all the gifts and everything were packed in our vehicles. So we had some. This is a bad story. We're way past the statute of limitation, right? Because we both drove back to the hotel and we were slightly inebriated. Don't do that at home, kids. But I'll never forget my wife, as we were getting, we're cool. It's 2 miles. We'll be really careful. And everybody had left us. So we didn't have a choice. And my wife's like, I'm going to go to jail in my wedding dress. You watch. I'm like, no, we'll be okay. And we made it. Thank God. Yeah, last one to leave, packed in all the presents and stuff. I'm like, this is messed up. All right, refocus. Why? Let's talk about when you're talking to couples. Okay, so as someone who has gone through the wedding process, and you get even better insight because you have a learning experience from a substandard wedding vendor, right? So you already know going through the process of how nerve-wracking it is planning a wedding. I've said this a million times before. It blows my mind that from the day you get engaged, for most couples, you suddenly have to plan the biggest day of your life with really nothing to base it on, other than friends and family or, something like that. So when you are talking with a couple, what do you do with them, even from your first meeting? How do you help them feel comfortable and confident, to bring back that word, that confident in booking with you?
So usually I start off with like discussing everything in and out of their wedding, mostly not the timeline, but like what they expect, where they're going, you know, all this other stuff to kind of get a timeline and to see if we kind of mesh, click, work together well.
So, because that's important, because you're kind of judging's not the right word. You're gauging them as well, because you want to see if you click with them too. You know, it needs to be a two-way street. So as you're doing that with them, kind of explain to me that kind of process. You know, what are you talking about with them to kind of find that common ground, to find if you guys click? What are you looking for with them?
So we kind of discuss a lot more than just wedding stuff. I kind of actually get to know them, like how they, you know, got engaged, you know, what they do for a living, all that kind of stuff, to kind of, I don't want to say match our personalities, but like make sure we click, because if you don't click, that's gonna lead to quite a few problems. But basically just get to know them, and eventually we discuss their wedding.
Sure.
But it's mostly
Eventually you get to the wedding part.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know, once a couple is, you know, they're comfortable with you, you guys have connected. So now you start kind of talking about what they're looking for, and something that I've always I think is kind of fun when it comes to weddings is my favorite word for weddings, and you get to use it twice during the entire process. It's the ish factor. ISH is the three most powerful letters when it comes to wedding, from planning and wedding day of. Because when you're first planning, people don't know, you know, exactly what they want time-wise. Maybe they don't know exactly what they want with photos and how they want things done. So you're kind of at that ish stage. You're not locking into, okay, we are going to do this pose, we're going to do this picture, we're going to do this in this place. You know, it's still kind of up in the air. So how do you help guide them through that kind of ish process to help bring out the best possible pictures that they can have for their day?
So one of the things I end up saying is, one, don't be married to the timeline.
Love that. I use that. Absolutely.
I was semi-married to the timeline, and we were running like an hour and a half late. So here's the bride just absolutely panicking. But once I kind of realized, you know, I want to be here in the moment. I don't want to follow a timeline, because things are going to happen when they happen.
Right.
So if couples are kind of concerned about that or something, I will work through them. I'll just be like, you know, this is how most weddings, you know, go. But at the same time, leave it to us, like your wedding coordinator, your photographer, all that stuff, to kind of run your day.
Right.
That way you can live in the moment.
Right.
Because it's about 12 minutes of a wedding day. It's there and it's gone.
It goes by so fast, and you know, I warn, I do. I warn couples all the time. Like you're gonna blink and you're gonna miss it. It's insane. And I forget who did we talk? One of the photographers brought up just a great point. Or no, it was Jake from Marathon Videography, and we were talking about the difference between a videographer and a photographer. And Jake nailed it. And what he said is that your photographer captures each moment, you know, which is great. You can capture all these special moments, and the videographer tells the story of your day, which I think is a great way to kind of look at it. And like you said, you know, being married to the timeline, I have seen couples literally miss their wedding day because they are so stressed out about, it's 6:15, we should be doing, you know, whatever this is that's on the timeline. And so kind of getting back to my favorite three letters, ish. So in the planning process, when you don't definitively know all of your times yet, you work on the ish factor for that. And then the word ish comes into play again, day of. And when you have a professional like yourself that recognizes that ish factor, that way you're not on them for, it's 6 o'clock, we need to do this. Hey, 6-ish. If the bride is talking to her great-great-great-grandfather, he's 115 years old, he hasn't seen the bride since she was 2, are you really, as a wedding professional, as a photographer, as a DJ, are you really going to pull that bride away from that moment and say, no, you need to do pictures, or no, you need to do first dances, or you know, whatever that is? No, you're not. You're not going to be married to the timeline. You're going to have that ish factor. So where you can kind of lean in, hey, when you're ready, we're ready for ... You know, and as a photographer, really the only kind of one moment of the day, and either of you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the one moment of the day where you have to be a little strict, capture them sunset pictures. You know, that one you got to be you can't be too ishy on.
Right.
Well, we'll do it. It's 8 o'clock ish. We'll be fine.
You want to make sure you're out of the sanctuary before the wedding starts.
Right. And
as far as the formal photos.
that is something else that you do as a photographer, and definitely from the DJ's side, we've seen that where the photographer gets so lost in like the ceremony moment, at the sanctuary in that particular moment, and you guys can just take pictures all day long. And you kind of lose track of, oh, that's right, they need to get to the reception. So that is something to be conscious of. But as the professional, it's your job to be aware of that time, not the couples. Mm-hmm. They should trust you. They should have confidence in you to help guide them. Like you had mentioned, let's rely on the coordinator. Let's rely on the professionals, on the photographer, whomever it is, to let them kind of guide you through the process. I tell couples all the time, when it comes to your wedding day, you have 3 jobs. You need to show up. That's important. You need to say I do at roughly the right time. And then you just need to be amazing and enjoy yourselves. I guess that's technically 4. Okay. You have 3-ish things. See? Ish. See, seriously, it's perfect. So, but those are all your responsibilities. It's as simple as that as the couple, because if you have the right wedding professionals, if you have someone like yourself, and you have the right venue, you have the right coordinator, you have the right DJ, you have all of these right things in place, you have confidence in your wedding professionals, those are the only 3 things you need to worry about, because the professionals take care of all the other details, right? Mm-hmm. We all in agreement with that? What's that?
That's how it should be.
It's absolutely how it should be. I love that. And so you talked about flexibility in there, which is fantastic. And you had asked me about brainstorming. So what's the brainstorming? And we covered that too. You had suggested like having them go to places like Pinterest and get kind of ideas for that. Accessibility. How are you like in the planning process when a couple books with you? Are you someone that, okay, we're going to meet, you get 4 meetings and then we're going to do this, or can they, if a thought jumps into that bride's head, can she reach out and contact you right away, or how open are you to contact from your couples?
Of course. So they can reach out to me at any time. Preferably not at night, but I will respond to you in the morning.
Right.
After I've had my cup of coffee. But so typically when we first start to talk, we'll plan, if they're doing like an engagement session with me, I will plan a meeting about a month ahead to kind of, go over some details. And then a week before the engagement session, we'll meet up again, mm-hmm. whether it be in person, over Zoom, over phone call, either way. And it's the same for weddings. But mm-hmm. My couples are always welcome to contact me.
Oh yeah, so. I mean, you've got to be there for them. It's our job to help make their day as stress-free as possible, which we get to say at ourstressfreewedding.com. You should go there. It's a great platform. So overall, just what can couples expect when they book with you?
They can expect a lot of photos.
Look, not just 3.
I'm very click happy. So there's a lot of photos. But they can expect someone who's going to be there and who's going to make their day a priority, who is going to treat it as if it was my day.
That's it. I love that.
Yep. Going through my own wedding, definitely I've learned a lot. Like, it was 90 degrees in a 10-layer dress, and I was hot. And I had 3-inch heels on, and I'm like, oh, I need to sit down. And no one asked. And I was like, I need to sit down. I'm going to fall over. So like those little experiences that I learned at my own wedding will help me make sure the bride and the groom are okay, and of course the guests too. But the bride and groom are my main people. Right,
and that's so important that they know that they have the confidence in you to know that they are your priority. And the click happy thing, you're the photographer. It's what you're. Take all the pictures in the world. Take all the pictures. I've seen Nicole edit some of the pictures from weddings that she's worked on, and oh my gosh, I am blown away by what you guys do post. And I don't think people recognize how much work photographers have after the wedding. I mean, your jobs really start after. I mean, gosh, what was that one? I think it was you had a second shooter. You were the second shooter. Like 3,000 pictures that you're going through.
Yeah. That's pretty typical, if not more.
Andrew, could you do that? I couldn't.
No.
Be like, this one. Yep, looks good. And No, but that's, I mean, the editing process. So let's talk a little bit about that. You know, how are you with, you know, kind of going through, if you're click happy, you're the one that's responsible for all those pictures. So
Yeah.
what do you kind of look for in the images post? I don't think I've ever asked somebody that question before. Ooh, new territory.
Okay.
So what do you look for, you know, in post? Because you've got all these images to choose from. What are you looking for?
I look for the big ones like the first kiss and all that stuff, but the other big one I look for is the emotion. So a lot of my photos end up having a lot of emotion in them because I'm a very candid, sneaky person. Like I'll hide behind a bush and take a picture. But yeah, definitely emotion and the big like first kiss and first look and all that stuff.
Right.
So.
But you know, the sneaky part I think is awesome as a photographer because it allows you to capture those candid moments, you know, the ones that they're not expecting, because, you know, at weddings, everybody does the traditional, okay, you know, thumbs out, elbows at a certain angle, and everybody stand to the right and everybody stand to the left. And you know, you've got all of those static pictures and everybody gets the kind of the same, you know, the same smile that happens on that. But capturing those genuine images like that, those are the wall pictures. You know, those are the ones that people display. Those are the ones that people will share and treasure and look back on for the rest of their lives. And you think about what an impact the photographer has on a couple's day. I mean, just the weight of what your job is that really at the end of the day, and not to take anything away from the marriage. I mean, obviously that's the important part. But, you know, once that's done, the only thing that they have to hold on to is their pictures. And so finding the right photographer, finding a photographer that you have confidence in, that you can trust for that big moment is so, so important, right? Mm-hmm. I love that. So what's your favorite moment at a wedding?
Oh my gosh. There are so many, but I would have to say it's either like the first look with the dad or the first look with the groom because of I'm a huge sucker for emotion and love.
Right.
So I'd have to say the other big one is probably the first dance.
Yeah.
The husband and wife first dance, because there's just so much emotion, and at that point they're just like, oh my gosh, we did this, we're so in love, and it's just, for lack of a better word, that it's almost magical.
It is. It is. You know, and for me, it's the same thing. I love their first dance. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just a pristine moment, especially, you know, you all the chaos of the day and all the craziness that's going on around you. And it really is when you're planning your day. I don't think couples know what they're getting into. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter if you've got 30 guests or 300 guests there. It's just this, you're in the middle of just this craziness and you miss so much. And a great photographer captures kind of all of those extra things that allows them to go back and look at. But that first dance is just that pristine moment where it doesn't matter how many guests are there. It's just the two of them for 3 minutes or however long that song is. That's it. Andrew, I don't think I ever asked you, what's your favorite moment at a wedding?
Probably the first dances, father, daughter, mother, son. And then I like speeches too.
Do you?
Yeah. From a DJ's point of view, like, I think it's funny when, not funny, but people start to cry, they get emotional. Mm-hmm. Like, 'cause sometimes I might feel that emotional too, like, oh my gosh, that was such a good speech.
Sometimes it gets you.
Sometimes. But I had one time, I'll never forget this. The best man was giving his speech, and hold on, I'm gonna get my picture up there really quick. There it is. And
ooh, it's the Andrew moment.
Yeah,
again.
it's the Andrew moment.
Back to the Andrew moment.
And
Nicole, if you can just slide a little bit to your left.
For every while the best man was talking, for every serious part, he just really start to get choked up, and like he would start to the point he couldn't even talk because he was crying so much.
Yeah.
But then he'd come back with something funny, and he could talk about that and then laugh. But seriously, guys, like, really.
Was he? Do you think he was milking it, or do you think he was actually able to kind of swap
genuine.
back and forth that well?
It seemed genuine, but it was just like, when you get the funny thoughts in your head,
Right.
you can talk a little bit better, but then those moments that just choke you up. He couldn't get it out. Not, I'll never forget that. It was.
But those are, you're right, because I think the toast can be so, some of them can be so genuine and sweet. Oh man, I can think of 2 of them off the top of my head that were the most awkward moments ever. There was one, the best man may have been really, really drunk. His groom's brother.
Never happens at weddings.
No, never. And he stood up for his toast, and he's kind of wobbly when he stands up. He's like, well, you're married. And he looks at him and says, don't get up. And then sits down. That was his entire speech. And the bride's mom, who was very conservative, just about fell out of her chair.
Oh, no.
I mean, it was, he had the right message. And the only other one that like the just total awkward, the maid of honor, not a fan of her now brother-in-law. She started her speech with, well, you're married. Some of us are happy about that. Some of us are still waiting to see what happens. And the poor groom kind of did the, huh? Like a little deer in the headlight moment. And it was, the rest of it was a nice speech, but it's like she gave the kind of the big, she was the older sister. It's like she gave the warning to her little sister's new husband, be good. I will find you if you hurt my sister. It was a little interesting moment. Nicole, what's your favorite moment at a wedding?
I know you've asked me this question before.
Well, yeah, you were part of the show and you were a guest, so I would have asked you, but let's recap. It's been so many episodes since you've been on.
Honestly, I feel like my favorite is the father-daughter, like the first dance and the father-daughter dance. I don't know what it is about the father-daughter dance, but that one always kind of hits me pretty hard.
I love that. That's one. I know. I'm gonna when Kobe gets married, I am totally doing a father-son dance. I'm going to embarrass the hell out of my child because I don't have a daughter, so I don't get to have that moment.
Gotta break tradition.
So me and Kobe, we're dancing. Heads up, just want to let you know. All right, Bobbi. So why do you do this? Why are you doing weddings?
So ever since I was little, I've always loved weddings, and for many years, I've been trying to figure out what I want to do. And then the opportunity for wedding photography came up, and now I'm doing something I love, and I am very happy to do it.
So what sets you apart from that jaded photographer that told you, don't even do this? Why didn't you listen?
Because I knew I could make someone's dream a reality by helping them treat it like it's my big day.
That's a good answer.
Yep.
That's awesome. I love that. So final question this is always my favorite question to ask everybody is you have a couple that wants to book you. They love your work. They've seen this show and they are inspired by what you do. And you can't help them. There's just nothing you're booked up. There's nothing you can do to help this couple out. What do you tell them to look for in other photographers?
So I would probably start off with trying to figure out what it is about me that they like. Is it my shooting style? Is it my editing style? Is it my personality? And then I have a preferred vendors list. So I will happily give them vendors and work with them and the vendors to make sure they click.
So you actually work to connect them with other people, right? Just, like actively help them out. Mm-hmm. That's a lovely thing. That's very nice. I like that. That is perfect. Any questions for Bobbi that came up that crosses your guys' minds?
No, I mean, you've told us to just talk more. So if we have questions, we would have asked them during the show.
I want you to just nod and smile. That is a deal. It just keeps. The goal is to keep your mom happy. That's all it really comes down to.
just the Andrew Bobblehead.
Hey, let's bring up Andrew Bobblehead. Let's bring up her listing at our Stress Free here. This is Light Inspired Serenity. This is Bobbi's page, and she's just got great images. Her work is wonderful. I love it. You can go to ourstressfreewedding.com. If you go to our vendor page, Your Wedding Professionals right there, and just type in Light. And that will actually bring her listing up right off the bat. It's really cool. It's great. As always, thank you. Thank you for driving an hour and a half to hang out with us. So we're at the end. I never actually get a chance to ask this because I've had people tell me at the beginning, I'm nervous. This is scary. So what do you think? Did it meet expectations? Are you still scared?
No. Nope. I am perfectly content.
I am glad. I'm so glad that you were able to come up. It's wonderful. It's been wonderful talking with you. You're welcome back anytime. We'll follow up as your career continues to grow. I can't talk today. It's way too early for me to talk.
You haven't had your caffeine.
Nope. Still caffeine. I'm staying strong. Caffeine free. We'll see. Next episode, we'll follow up and see if I'm actually staying true to that. Hey, best way to contact her, go to ourstressfreewedding.com. Please, as Andrew said, like and subscribe. Comment your comment in the comment section. We appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, you have a stress-free day.